Hey, and welcome to Monday Night Football, where Soccertown USA comes to you.
Soccertown USA right here, wearing the hat.
Man, that's pretty good. Way to represent.
Right there.
You've been wearing that all day?
Thank you to Misty Silvers and Brad Ramsey from SoccertownUSA.org.
You know, the question right now is like, are we gonna have a Soccertown celebration this year? You know?
The way it's looking, yes.
But at this point last year, I thought we were not going to have a Soccertown to celebrate, and we ended up having three. So you know.
Yeah, but last year we had a whole lot more teams with better records. I mean, overall, right here now, some of the perennial on the boys' side, we got Dalton High. They've lost 3 times. They have not lost 3 games since 2018. And before that, it was probably like 10 years since they lost 3 games, and they haven't lost 3 games this early in the season. So if Dalton lost the 3rd game, typically it was the last game before they went out in the season. Southeast started out 0-4, and they're 4-4. Northwest dropped another one on Friday night versus Cedartown. They're going like a roller coaster up and down.
But look at a lot of the teams that ended up making the playoffs. Look at Dalton last year. Who did they play in the final? Do you remember who it was? But I think that team had 5 losses on the year. So it's not necessarily about what your overall record is, but, you know, are you hot going into the playoffs pretty much? Are you playing your best soccer? It's just how it's set up.
TDA is playing lights out. TDA is
they're playing good.
They've only had 1 loss. They've been playing a lot of up in competition. If you go to the girls' side, I'm looking at
this week.
This week's going a lot. You have big game tomorrow, which we'll discuss, Northwest Southeast. You have Southeast Heritage, which has got rescheduled from this past week to this Friday. So either Southeast is going to drop their first 2 games of the season, or they add 2 more wins to their belt buckle.
All right, let's see that scoreboard. Let's get it ran through. All right, boys, on the boys' side this week, we had Cola Creek 1-0 over Cass. Big win for the Creek boys. Christian Heritage 5-1 over Lafayette. North Murray loses out to Gordon Central. Murray County 8-1 over Rockmart. Dalton Academy 3-2 over Gilmer. Northwest, they draw in regular time, go down in PKs. That was a region game to Cedartown. And Dalton falls just short in a big 5A battle, 3-1 to McIntosh.
Then on the girls' side, you had Cohulla Creek with a 3-0 win over Cass. North Murray losing to Gordon Central 3-1. Murray County with a 3-0 win over Rockmart. Northwest with a 4-0 win. Girls over Cedartown. I think we were missing the earlier scores.
That's on Juan. I don't handle it. Just so we're clear, I don't handle the scores. That's on Juan's side. Hey, we kind of divvy up the jobs around here.
But it's all right. I mean, we had earlier scores in the week as well, but you probably have them right there.
No, you probably have them.
They're on the Facebook app. I can go back to Facebook.
Juan's got to go to Facebook.
They were all uploaded on Facebook. Let me pull those up real quick.
Looking back at this week, though, like the big games for me, you had Cohulla Creek and you had Dalton Academy. That game lived up to the hype. I hope those guys keep playing and keep developing, because that ended up being just like a great game. We're going to talk about that a little later in the show. The much anticipated clash between McIntosh and Dalton. I was at that game. It 3-1 was not. It was 3-1, but at the same time, I never felt like Dalton was out of that game. And then moving into this week, just things to talk about are, I mean, for me, the Southeast girls, this is a make or break week for them. They're going to have the game against Heritage rescheduled for Friday, and then you have the big game against Northwest. That's tomorrow night. So for the girls' side, it's a make or break week for Southeast. So when we come back, we got a special guest coming in, Jeremy Allenbaugh, who is the senior vice president of the USL Championship, will be joining us, so stick around.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And what would it be like? Open up a world of possibilities when you sell your home and make those dreams real. At ColdwellBanker.com, you can get an instant estimate on your home, compare cost of living city by city, and learn more about our revolutionary seller's assurance program. So it really is true. Your dreams don't have to be just dreams. At ColdwellBanker.com.
Who's up for some football?
That's not football. This is football.
And Eddie, there's one thing that we all can agree on. That's it. North Georgia is the home for new and pre-owned vehicles. And don't forget accessories, parts, service, and collision needs.
Claro que sí se puede. Come see us.
Hey, that's our park.
Why should you choose OptiLink Internet?
I chose OptiLink because of the great local service.
We know computers, and OptiLink knows internet with high-speed symmetrical uploads and downloads.
My customers depend on me for safety and security, and I need fast and dependable internet. That's why I chose OptiLink.
Some people say you can't have fast internet. I say, oh, yes, you can with OptiLink.
Experience the difference. Call today, 706-529-1313.
I'm Waylon. I live in Dalton, and I'm the owner of Elite Lineman Training Institute.
And I'm Mitch Sanford with Biltwell Bank.
When I left Georgia Power to start my own business, I met with Mitch and told him what we were doing.
I told Waylon, you're the kind of business we want to work with.
We have a very high standard for how we work as a company and especially how we treat our clients. After a very candid conversation with Mitch, we knew we were on the same page.
Today, we're working on several businesses, training and real estate.
Because they do the heavy lifting, so I can focus on my business. My bank is Biltwell.
Hey, welcome back to Monday Night Football. We are honored to have our next guest on. We've brought you some good guests this year, but I had to pull one out of my hat here. Bringing on a personal friend of mine, but also a heavy hitter on the soccer scene in this country, the acting president of the USL Championship, Mr. Jeremy Allenbaugh. Jeremy, how are you?
I'm doing well. Excuse me, voice. I'm doing well, guys. Everybody okay back in Dalton?
Oh yeah, we're doing great here. We're in mid-season. Everybody, it's a complete bloodbath up here in the on the records on the in the high the high school rankings. So, but it's good. So, just right out of the gate, what does the president of the USL Championship do?
Excuse me. I was hoping you could tell me. A year into the job, but
that's how you got to that position, right?
Majority of my day is spent with our ownership groups, and which is a highly committed group of individuals, and across our league that are putting a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of efforts into growing the game in this country, just like you guys are doing, in the Dalton, Chattanooga, North Georgia area, helping grow the game. And then I spent a lot of the other time with the presidents, having run a club myself. I think it's been beneficial for me to get that phone call about maybe a referee decision on the weekend or a challenge that they're going through, whether it's, weather, kind of maybe struggled with attendance on a crowd, but just really being there as a resource and being there for support. And again, having been on that club side and gone through some of the highs as well as the lows, it's been very beneficial for me to be able to have those type of relationships. So that's the majority of my day, and continuing to work in the beautiful game that we all love so much.
So you heard it here, folks. If you see a call on the weekend that goes against your team in the USL Championship, this is your guy. I'm sure he's readily available to take heat for all that.
Why you got to throw him under the bus like that?
Because that's what I do. So for those of you who don't know, like the USL Championship, I know just so we understand soccer structure, MLS sits at the top of the pyramid, and USL Championship sits in the second rung just below that. They are the only league that sits there. So that's where Jeremy resides.
So Jeremy, I know Todd knows you well, but for our public or our audience that we have, where did you grow up playing soccer, and was soccer a big deal where you were at?
Yeah, so it's a great story, and I think it's important to understand how I view the game and why my time in Chattanooga and driving down to Dalton often just hits so close to the heart. I grew up in a small farming community in northern Illinois, and we had no high school football. So the homecoming parade, all of the kids you looked up to when you were in elementary school, they were all the soccer players. We went to state. We were the smallest school to go to state. I think that happened when I was in second or third grade. And my dad was a coach there. And so it was a big deal when you got selected to be a ball boy and you got to, hang out at the homecoming float and the parade. And soccer was it, and it was great to see. We had foreign exchange students that would come over, I think strategically placed, happened to be really good soccer players that wanted to experience rural northern Illinois, I guess, was the reason why they came there. But yeah, the town's called Hinckley, Illinois, and lived there till fifth grade and then moved to Champaign, Illinois. And that was completely different. Soccer was not big in Champaign. We had club sport, club teams that we could play on. But my eighth grade year was the first year that soccer became a varsity sport. And I remember being at the school board meeting with my dad and, just how influential that was to see this group of parents and this group of community members drive to put the sport into the schools that they love so much. So I've kind of seen it all. Ended up playing college ball up in Wisconsin, and ventured in the coaching side at the youth level, college level, amateur level from there, and then slid over to the front office side of things. But soccer's all I knew as a kid, and thankfully it got me in the game from an early age.
So would you say that Brian McBride is the greatest export out of the state of Illinois, soccer-wise?
Yeah, but a lot of people in Illinois don't give him credit for being from Illinois because he went to St. Louis University to play college. And a lot of people were upset at that because most of the good players from the suburbs, because at the time Northwestern wasn't great, and it'd be pretty smart to go to Northwestern anyway, right? So a lot of them went to Indiana, tons of them. Steve Snow, Ken Snow, the list is long. But Brian was one of the first ones kind of break that mold and went to SLU and had a great career there.
Just had to throw that.
Hey, I didn't see that coming. Well played, Juan.
You're welcome.
So I guess, everybody sees you as front office, and everybody knows like being in the front office of professional soccer is all glam. Is that accurate?
No, I think people believe it is, but it's not. I mean, if you're doing it, in my opinion, if you're doing it right, you're grinding out with your ticket team. You're looking at how to get people in the stands. You're working with your coaches on scouting. You're putting field boards up on the sidelines because most at this level of play, the professional teams are going to be short-staffed. It's just the reality of it. So you have to be a jack of all trades. There are some nice moments. There are some fun moments. You get to go do some pretty cool things. I was able to go to the Open Cup final last year, and a lot of other things like that. But there's a lot of grind that goes behind the scenes. I think that's where my coaching background has kind of helped me make this transition to the front office.
I remember you telling us a story one time about when in your early days up at St. Louis FC, you were talking about how you were having to basically line the fields off, put the flags in the ground, and it was basically like glorified groundskeeper at the time, but you were also front office.
Yeah, I think again it's just that mentality, and maybe it's just the clubs that I was at and the communities I was at, but it was just kind of everybody does their part and everybody fills in, and we have that same attitude here in the USL front office is. We have a big academy event this weekend, and we'll be out there helping. People in the front office will be out there making sure those young players have a great environment to play in. So, yeah, it's not all glitz and glam, that's for sure.
No, I just want to go in. So I know you were a St. Louis FC, CFC. So how did you transition college going into the front office?
Yeah, so I coached for a number of years and was able to coach some outstanding players. Had a great opportunity in Chicago to work. With at the time was one of the top youth clubs in the nation. Really fortunate for that, the type of players that I was able to work with. Brad Guzan at Atlanta was on my team, was not a goalkeeper, not my choice, but he wanted to play in the field. Trained as a goalkeeper, but, for the Atlanta United fans in the area, but really lucky. And then it was just kind of always something I'd kind of thought about. It was kind of the right place at the right time. I was coaching in St. Louis and, they were looking for some involvement in the front office, and I was on the management team, and they said, hey, would you ever have an interest in coaching? And I said, no, those are the guys that usually get fired. I would be interested in being the GM. And so they gave me that chance and kind of never looked back. So it was a natural transition, I think, just because of my background and what I had done. At the college level, you do a lot of front office type things anyway, outside of just coaching and recruiting. So it was just a natural transition. And luckily, it, kind of worked out.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do is we're going to transition to a break here, but when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about your time in the Chattanooga and Dalton area and a little more about your time with Dalton Soccer.
We provide an excellent service for individuals who've had catastrophic injury cases, people who've had injuries that are going to last them, unfortunately, for the rest of their life. Being there for a person, being there to actually see them get better, that is what this field is all about. That's what we're really striving to do, and that's what we think we provide. You still have to have that empathy for the person so you can tell their story to the jury. At the end of the day, that's where your case is heard.
Has a recent storm damaged the roof of your home? Altman Roofing has been restoring homes since 1984. In Dalton alone, over 2,000 roofs have been replaced by Altman. Altman Roofing will also work with your insurance claim. For a free 15-minute estimate for roofing, siding, or gutters, call 706-529-8136 or visit altmanroofing.com. You can also see their professional work on Facebook.
Thank you.
Thank you, North Georgia. Gracias, North Georgia.
We appreciate you, North Georgia.
I'm C-Mark. I'm John Moore. Like the Georgia Bulldogs, we're number one.
Thank you, North Georgia, for voting us number one 6 years in a row.
If you're hurt and want the best,
give us a call. We'll do the rest.
And welcome back to Monday Night Football. We have our special guest, Mr. Jeremy
Allenbaum, president of the USL Championship.
So, Jeremy, I know you worked a lot in the Chattanooga area, Chattanooga CFC, but also you sort of ventured down into the Dalton area. So what was your first introduction to the Dalton soccer? I know I go back, and I don't even know if you were at CFC. The first player that I know was Manuel Lopez to go play with CFC back in the early 2000s.
Probably early 2000s, yeah.
So it may have been your time, but I know we had some other players come through here. So what was your first introduction to the Dalton soccer?
Yeah, so it was summer of COVID is probably the best timeline to set it up. So I started right around the first year in 2020, and things started to open up a little bit in the summer. And I remember myself and Peter Fuller was our head coach at the time. We jumped in a car, drove down there to go check out this area, because everybody kept telling us, mainly the gentleman sitting to your right, kept telling us how many good players were down there and all these players in there. And I had known from the college recruiting circuit, a lot of players had come out of the Dalton area, but we drive down, we pull into Lakeshore Park, right? We pull into Lakeshore Stadium, and it was just chaos. And I mean that in a good way. Like, little kids everywhere, place was packed, parents, adults, you could just see right away the passion for the game, for the sport, which I kind of knew, but until you're really there, you don't see it. And then we're there watching training session, and the kids just kept coming, and they kept coming. And kids would be running in late because you could see mom or dad didn't go home after work to, they just grabbed the kids and took them right there. And so it was just eye-opening, but it was so just rewarding to see these kids just love to play. And, the next group of kids came in, and it just carried on all night. And then we got to the older kids, and I just remember myself and Fuller kind of looking at each other going, there's a bunch of kids here that can play. I remember that first group, Rico was in that team. Obviously, Damien, we saw some other names we'll get to. But that was my first kind of, awareness into it. And Coach K was down there, organizing the chaos, getting everything going on the field and all the work there. And that was with the NGSA group with the North Georgia. So quickly got, involved and saw that just so many people loved it. And they loved it when we came down. And I felt like it really meant something to them. So, and I miss going down there on those Tuesday, Thursday nights. That was a fun time.
He went in 2020. That was pre-Kobe Perez, Eder Mora, the Saldana, like all that.
Well, it was after. Yeah, those guys had already been through. I mean, that's just some real heavy hitters that came up through the mid-teens. Jerry, when you look at Dalton, and I know you've been around now from St. Louis, and now you're at the mothership with USL, and you go community to community, what do you think makes Dalton, either sets them apart, or what are the similarities that you see when comparing and contrasting to other communities that you see?
So I'll compare Dalton to St. Louis in a lot of ways. Obviously, different sizes, different demographics, different backgrounds. But, St. Louis, you can get in trouble saying this according to some people at MLS, soccer capital, right? Dalton soccer city. I mean, whatever you want to call it, soccer matters in those communities. And I think the reason I think they're very similar is that parents and grandparents know the sport. And you don't get that. You don't get it here in Tampa as much, right? It's starting to change as we're all getting older, as we can tell. Todd still looks great, but we're all getting older and, so it's getting there. But like 20 years ago in St. Louis, grandpas, they knew the game, and in Dalton, it's the same thing, right? You're talking to a dad, about the sport or about their son or their daughter, and they know it. You can't kind of, fake it because they know the game, they know the sport, they know the passion, they know what it should look like. And if they go to a match, whether it's a Dalton State game, the big, Classico game, down there at the high schools, they come up to, a game in Chattanooga, they know what a game should look like, excuse me. And, because they've been there, they've seen it. And so I think to me, there was a lot of similarities between St. Louis and Dalton, and just the passion for the sport and the knowledge about the sport.
So shifting gears a little bit, let's bring it around to the USL. How does a community like Dalton for you figure into the future of the USL and what you guys are trying to accomplish, both at the amateur level all the way down at USL 2, all the way up to the championship?
Yeah, I think, look, the next couple of years in the country is tremendous for growth. We've got, this summer, obviously, with all the events going on, and then you're going to have 25, you're going to have the World Cup.
That's a little event coming.
Yeah, you'll have the World Cup in 2026. So, you've just got all these things happening, right? And so I just think it's good. The sport's going to continue to grow. And a community that like Dalton that cares so much about the sport, there's going to be a spot for it. And I think it's just going to take time and just take the right effort for it to come together. But the other thing is just the players, right? And players and coaches that are growing up on the game in Dalton, they're gonna infiltrate themselves into the various levels of the sport in our country and into the USL for sure.
So talking about the USL, I know MLS already kicked off. Is the USL championship, are we already kicked off? Are we a few weeks away? What's that looking like? And just give us a overview for those that aren't familiar with the USL championship. How many teams are located within the championship division?
Yeah, so there's 24 teams across the country, 12 in the West, 12 in the East. Last weekend was our first weekend of play. Some exciting games, including Orange County and Sacramento with a last-minute goalkeeper header to tie the game on the road for Orange County. They pull up, comes up on a corner kick, scores, game over. So crazy. So we're really excited. We have Rhode Island this coming weekend, that will be an expansion team, be their first home game, sold out. So, we're kicking off, catch all the games on ESPN+, a few games on ESPN2, and then all the other games can be caught on the CBS group of networks. So April 6th, that's a date. If I have any favors to ask in the city of Dalton, is April 6th, tune in on Big CBS. We're going to have Louisville City, one of our anchor clubs, beautiful stadium, hosting Indy 11, a big derby, a rivalry match there in the Midwest. And it's going to be on Big CBS. So the same place you watch NFL, you watch the NCAA tournaments, could be the host of USL for that day. So we're really excited about that. And we want all the games to be accessible. So yeah, we're one weekend in and we've already got great excitement and looking forward to the next 33 weeks of the season.
And what's so interesting about the USL championship, you have Sacramento Republic, you have Orange County, you have Louisville City.
Both teams have had big runs in the U.S. Open
You
Cup.
have Detroit City Motor, what I think they're called. But then you also have the teams that are in the MLS that were formerly USL.
St. Louis,
Cincinnati, just to name a couple. So for you, it's tremendous growth. But it's also like, oh, man, we lost another team to MLS. Because I know Sacramento's when MLS talks expansions, Sacramento's names get thrown out there.
I did not feed him this stuff, Jeremy. I promise.
I read Little Sports. But how do you feel about if anyone, goes to pick, one of your current teams or they decide to move up? Or do you think we nurture them, we're happy for them, we wish them the best?
Yeah, it's always a tough one, right? Because you feel like you put a lot of time into clubs and communities. But for me, I'm a community person, right? And anything that's going to continue to grow the sport, I think it is a positive thing. So if you look at a community like Charlotte's League One team, not the league that I oversee, but League One, they were in the final last year. And they got an MLS club right there in their market. But they're finding ways to bring the game to other people. And I think you're going to continue to see that in the future, where more and more of our communities, maybe have a team in this league and then maybe they have another team. You guys have an example of that right up the road from you. So obviously that's all good. I think it's more opportunities for people to play, people to watch, people to work in the game, whether it's ticket sales, become a referee, what have you. We just got to keep growing the sport because it's obvious places like Dalton and other places, how much passion and how much care there is there. So we just got to keep building and keep growing it.
Todd, you have one hard-hitting question.
Yeah, this is a quick one. Tacos or quesadillas?
Oh, tacos, hands down.
All right. Jeremy, Jeremy Allenbaugh, everybody, president of the USL Championship. A big thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you. And no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, you're always going to be a Blue in my book.
Appreciate that, and I thank you guys for having me on. Keep doing what you're doing. These are big things. Programs like this are what's going to continue to grow the game. So there's all this stuff at the pro level. But what you guys are doing, reporting on this, giving spotlight to kids, to coaches in that great area, North Georgia and Dalton, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
My car looks totally ruined. I don't even know what to do.
Locally owned Dalton Collision Center is the only choice when it comes to all of your auto body and refinish needs. Our experienced staff provides quality work from start to finish, will help with your claim, and even assist with getting your rental car. Everything from A to Z.
So you can focus on life, we can focus on getting you there.
We provide an excellent service for individuals who've had catastrophic injury cases. People who've had injuries that are going to last them, unfortunately, for the rest of their life. Being there for a person, being there to actually see them get better, that is what this field is all about. That's what we're really striving to do, and that's what we think we provide. You still have to have that empathy for the person so you can tell their story to the jury. At the end of the day, that's where your case is heard.
This year, Coldwell Banker Kennard Realty is proudly commemorating our 50th anniversary, and what a journey it has been. For 5 decades, Coldwell Banker Kennard Realty has been the heartbeat of real estate in Northwest Georgia.
We've had the privilege of helping thousands of homeowners with their real estate transactions. Thank you, Dalton and Northwest Georgia.
Whether you're buying, selling, or expanding your business, trust the experience that comes with 50 years of excellence. Coldwell Banker Kennard Realty with offices in Dalton, Calhoun, Cartersville, Ringgold, and Cleveland, Tennessee.
And welcome back to Monday Night Football. I want to give a big thank you to Mr. Jeremy Allenbaugh, one of Todd's good friends going back to the CFC days. You know, they wear blue, the senior vice president of the USL. Really quick, we want to go into the rest of the Off the Link scoreboard. Obviously, before we interviewed Jeremy, we were able to go over those scores, so I'm just going to give a quick overview really quick. Monday, 10-0 Dalton girls over Cohola Creek. Northwest tying Bremen 2-2 girls. Christian Heritage was postponed. Northwest 10, Sonoraville 0 girls. Southeast girls with a 1-0 win over Cedartown. Dalton with a 10-0 win over Cass. Murray County losing 9-0 to Model. That's all girls. North Murray winning 3-2 over Rockmart. These are boys scores. Northwest 9-0 over Sonoraville, as Todd said last year.
No, but never to be said
Dalton
again.
Academy with a 3-2 win over Cohola Creek, which we're going to discuss. Murray County losing to Model 2-1. Cass with the upset of Dalton 1-0. Southeast going into overtime and beating Cedartown 4-3. And then North Murray winning 6-1 over Rockmart.
I don't know why you got to put that evil on me, because I swore off I would never say that again. Let it be known that Juan said it this time, not me. You don't get to call me out on that.
You said Sonoraville last year.
Last year, but never again. So things I want to talk about, that was a big game last week, was the 3-2 win, Dalton Academy over Cohola Creek. Man, that game just turned into a tale of two halves. I was up there. I got to catch the second half, but apparently in the first half it was all Creek. They jumped out and was all over and played really well. And I think they went at halftime. It was I think it was 1-0, and then it just kind of exploded in the second half. And I picked that game to be 3-2. I just didn't know who it was going to be. It ended up being 3-2. Dalton Academy, and really I felt like that comeback was sparked by Joe Gonzalez. I thought he really grabbed the game offensively. by the scruff of the neck. But when I talked to the coaches afterward, they said that they had Christian Cruz as the player of the game, and that's why we got Christian Cruz in an interview after the game.
Hey, this is Todd coming to you from Coahulla Creek. Dalton Academy came in here. They went out 3-2 winners tonight, and it was a solid win. I'm joined with Christian Cruz. Christian played a huge part in this game. Just tell me a little bit about the game from your perspective, what it was like out there on the field.
But first of all, I think it was good, but I feel like we could have done more. We were in each other's head, but we picked that up. Second half, I feel like we executed the plan. I think we can control our attitude and just our effort. Anything can happen, even when we play against big schools. No big school is bigger than a smaller team. I know that because we just proved it today. But most of all, I'm just proud of the team, proud of the coaches. I thank them a lot because without them, I'm nothing. And I'm just so happy and blessed to get the win today.
Well, congratulations. You had a goal. You guys come out 3-2 win. Anything in particular, I'm just curious, because you guys, like you said, you were down at halftime 1-0. Did Coach say anything to you guys at halftime?
Well, he did say a lot. He knew we can win, but he knows that it wasn't going to be easy. But with faith and courage, we managed to put 3 goals in the net.
Well, congratulations and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, big thanks to Christian Cruz for stopping by. And really, he kick-started that whole comeback. He had the first goal, and it started things rolling for Dalton Academy. One, how do you see Dalton Academy going this year?
They're going to run the table. I feel, they still got to play Southeast, but obviously they've already beaten Coahulla Creek.
From a region-wise, I agree.
I think region-wise they're going to win. They're going to win their region. There should be no reason why they don't win their region. They should make a deep, deep run. It just depends on – well, first of all, I already know if how Atlanta International is doing. I haven't really checked. That would probably be the biggest roadblock is, Atlanta International. If they do have to face them, or are they on the opposite side of the bracket where if they run the table and you get a championship. Because really this team – the way I'm looking at it, and no pressure, this team has it all to take home a state championship.
Yeah.
They have it all. The one loss was to Cass, who is in 4A.
And we figured out, and like I was trying to tell Juan like 3 weeks ago, Cass is pretty good.
And then if you look at Cass, yes, they got beat by Southeast, but then they come around and they beat Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
But then they come out and Cass loses the following week to
Cass is shown to be inconsistent, but at the same time, they got the talent to beat some good teams.
So, so I'm seeing for them doing a good season. Like they have all the pieces, Reynosa back. They're very cohesive, especially if they play at Dalton Stadium. If they play at Dalton Stadium, it's a wrap. I'm just putting it out there. No, the wide field plays to their advantage. They spread teams so far out on the wings and open up the middle where there's so much space that teams they can't park the bus. So I give the nod for TDA right now.
And that's the thing too. I agree with you. It's all about how Atlanta International and another school out there, Paeta. I think it's Paeta. Yeah,
Georgia Military College as well.
Where they line up in the bracket, or we get just like a silly matchup like we did last year, and we get Atlanta International and Dalton Academy in the second round, which.
But the way Coach Asher set up the schedule, out of region schedule is very, very tough. So. Well, now we're getting ready to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Dalton versus Coahulla, which now has Soccer City Cup standings.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And what would it be like? Open up a world of possibilities when you sell your home and make those dreams real. At ColdwellBanker.com, you can get an instant estimate on your home, compare cost of living city by city, and learn more about our revolutionary seller's assurance program. So it really is true. Your dreams don't have to be just dreams. At ColdwellBanker.com.
Who's up for some football?
That's not football. This is football.
And Eddie, there's one thing that we all can agree on. That's it. North Georgia is the home for new and pre-owned vehicles. And don't forget accessories, parts, service, and collision needs.
Claro que sí se puede. Come see us.
Hey, that's our part.
Why should you choose OptiLink Internet?
I chose OptiLink because of the great local service. We know computers, and OptiLink knows internet with high-speed symmetrical uploads and downloads.
My customers depend on me for safety and security, and I need fast and dependable internet. That's why I chose OptiLink.
Some people say you can't have fast internet. I say, oh yes you can with OptiLink.
Experience the difference. Call today, 706-529-1313.
I'm Waylon. I live in Dalton and I'm the owner of Elite Lineman Training Institute.
And I'm Mitch Sanford with Biltwell Bank.
When I left Georgia Power to start my own business, I met with Mitch and told him what we were doing.
I told Waylon, you're the kind of business we want to work with.
We have a very high standard for how we work as a company and especially how we treat our clients. After a very candid conversation with Mitch, we knew we were on the same page.
Today, we're working on several businesses, training and real estate.
Because they do the heavy lifting, so I can focus on my business. My bank is built well.
Welcome back to Monday Night Football. And as mentioned, we're going straight into, first of all, I guess you want to discuss this Dalton-Coahulla scoreline. We were busy working last week here on set. It happened last Monday.
I got in there with about 15 minutes left. I met with a former college coach of mine down at Point University, Randy Douglas. He was there doing a little bit of scouting. But, yeah.
I mean, it was 10-0. So we have now, through some inside sources and knowledge, we found out that Coahulla and Dalton were supposed to play this week, but that game has sort of been postponed or put on the back burner. It may get played later in the season, maybe towards the end of the season. We don't really know. So for us, it was too much to be up in the air. So we decided that this would count towards the Soccer City Cup for the girls.
Yeah, but just kind of had to make that decision. I mean, if that thing gets put on the back burner and never gets rescheduled and things start happening, we have to go with kind of what we know. So like you said, we're going to count it. And so that leaves Dalton being a 10-day, the Old Mercy rule of Color Creek. So that's plus 10 goal differential, and they get the 3 points in the standings. And we can go ahead and show some standings here. So this is on the boys' side. So as you see, we got a classic top-of-the-table clash the Thursday, Northwest and Southeast. Man, if somehow Northwest gets that, I mean, I haven't done the math on it yet, but that would put them on 7 points, and I don't think anybody can catch them.
Well, it would put them on 7 points, and
Dalton could theoretically tie them, is what could happen.
Well, but also it would come down to goal differential.
Yep.
So if Northwest boys pulls out the dub, they go up 7. They are sitting in first place. They literally would have to wait till the end of the season
to watch the Dalton
Southeast game to see what happens. We're just saying hypotheticals.
Yep.
So it's going to be very interesting. And what about those girls' standings?
There it is. Once again, you got Northwest sitting there at the top with a plus 10 on 6 points, and they'll be playing Southeast, who is sitting on a plus 7 goal differential with 3 points. So no matter what, if Northwest wins Thursday night, they wrap up their second consecutive Girls Soccer City Cup championship. So that's what's to play for.
So are you going to have the trophy out there tomorrow?
They'll have the trophy because they have the trophy.
So I guess you may have the text say, hey, do you want to present the trophy?
Exactly.
For us to present the trophy if you win, because that would be the best place to do it.
That would be the best place to do it.
But if they don't.
Having said that, there's a lot of other scenarios that play out. Should Southeast win, luckily it can't end in a draw.
No draw.
But a Southeast win definitely puts the table on its head, and then you're right back to square one.
Yeah, because then Southeast has a run. Then if they lose to Dalton, how does it look? Northwest. It's one of those things.
Yep.
Southeast has a tiebreaker over Northwest. Northwest has a tiebreaker. A lot of what ifs, but hopefully it doesn't make it that complicated because we don't want to sit here and try to figure it out.
No, we don't like doing math, so we just like it if it just makes it easy on us.
But I know that Chia was there, and she was
there. She's not be here.
But she was there. She was able to catch up with America Quintero, the standout keeper for the Catamounts. And I'm going to butcher the last name, but it's Melanie Arayega or something like that.
I think you nailed it.
But let's go ahead and roll that clip.
You with Monday Night Live. I am here with America and Melanie. How do you feel about today's game?
Well, today's game, I think it went very well. We connected very well as a team. We communicated. Our defense was good. We were locked. We were strapped.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, Melanie, and I see that you had a hat trick. How does that feel?
It felt good to finally get some goals. It's been a long season, and I haven't been able to get some, but finally, so yeah.
I feel good. Nice. And moving forward, do you guys feel like we can expect some more goals like that?
I think we have the confidence now. We were able to get some key buzzers, so I feel like we'll be able to play like that for the rest of the season, yeah.
No, nice. Anything else? Somebody got shout out? Anything?
Shout out to MVP.
Clark Central there.
All right. Well, thank you, girls.
Especially on these Northwest scores.
All right. Thanks a lot to America and Melanie for that interview. So Dalton, because of the game that was supposed to be played again versus Color Creek got canceled. That's not going to happen.
Tomorrow.
So, which would have been tomorrow. But Wednesday, they got a little doozy against Clark Central. And any of those girls programs for over in Clark County, they're good. So this will be a great test for Dalton girls, and we'll see how they do.
Well, talking with Coach Almodova, talking to him this weekend, hanging out with him all weekend, and a little family cabin trip that our families took together to Gatlinburg with our boy Wicks.
This is the kind of ties and insight that you get.
So, he scheduled his season this way. This is how he wanted it. He wanted to play tough competition out of region to prepare him for a regular region. And obviously you can see that how it turned out this way. They played Northwest tight. The losses that they have are quality losses if you go look. Kennesaw Mountain, they tied Alatoona, and I can't remember the other school. They lost the pace, could have went either way. So they're primed. They're going to be okay. They're going unprecedented territories. They're trying to go for their fourth straight region title, which has never been done in this history of DHS for soccer.
Well, they're definitely coming up and making waves. I would like to touch on another little game that's going to happen this week, and that is once again the region was Southeast and Northwest. You got Southeast Heritage that's getting rescheduled this week.
Girls' game is going to be very tough.
That's going to be tough, and once again, it's a huge week for Southeast girls. And
we'll definitely discuss that at the end of the show with when we recap these games. But with that, we're going to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we'll discuss Dalton McIntosh.
We provide an excellent service for individuals who've had catastrophic injury cases, people who've had injuries that are going to last them, unfortunately, for the rest of their life. Being there for a person, being there to actually see them get better, that is what this field is all about. That's what we're really striving to do, and that's what we think we provide. You still have to have that empathy for the person so you can tell their story to the jury. At the end of the day, that's where your case is heard.
Has a recent storm damaged the roof of your home? Altman Roofing has been restoring homes since 1984. In Dalton alone, over 2,000 roofs have been replaced by Altman. Altman Roofing will also work with your insurance claim. For a free 15-minute estimate for roofing, siding, or gutters, call 706-529-8136 or visit altmanroofing.com. You can also see their professional work on Facebook.
Thank you.
Thank you, North Georgia.
Gracias, North Georgia.
We appreciate you, North Georgia.
I'm C-Mark. I'm John Moore. Like the Georgia Bulldogs, we're number one.
Thank you, North Georgia, for voting us number one 6 years in a row.
If you're hurt and want the best,
give us a call. We'll do the rest.
Hey, welcome back to Monday Night Football. All right, we're gonna. I think. Do we need to hit scores again before we
We
go?
can just hit those scores really quick. If you don't mind, bring up that OptiLink scoreboard. We'll just go over a quick recap.
We like to spring things on Clemenza.
So boys scoreboard, we had Creek with a 1-0 win over Cass, who we'll discuss Cass in a minute. Christian Heritage boys with a 5-1 win over Lafayette. North Murray going down to Gordon Central 1-0. Murray County beating Rockmart 8-1. Dalton Academy with a big win over Gilmer County 3-2. Northwest regulation 1-1, but
region loss.
Region game, they had to go to PKs. They're losing in PKs. And then Dalton going down 3-1 to McIntosh. Earlier in the week, we had Dalton 10-0 over Coahulla, Northwest 2-2 with Bremen. Christian Heritage did not play. Northwest girls with a 10-0 win over Sonoraville. So all these are girls scores. Southeast 1-0 over Cedartown. Dalton with a 10-0 win over Cass. Murray County losing 9-0 to Model. And then North Murray winning 3-2 over Rockmart. Boys scores, you had Northwest was a 9 win over Sonoraville, 3-2 Dalton Academy over Coahulla Creek. Murray losing to Model 2-1. Dalton losing to Cass 1-0. Southeast with a region win over Cedartown 4-3. And then North Murray winning 6-1 over Rockmart. So the common team that we kept bringing up in there was Cass. Cass had 3 games.
Cass. Yeah.
They had 3 games this past week. Or if you go over the last week and a half, they played Southeast, played Dalton.
Lost 1.
They lost to Southeast 2-0.
Beat Dalton
1-0. Red card there. There's some stuff going on there. The ref maybe shouldn't have been reffing. It's already been discussed. So there's some issues going on.
Lost to Creek.
And then Cass comes and loses to Creek.
Yeah, they come to lose to Creek right on the heels of Creek losing to Dalton Academy.
And then
we know that Cass beat Dalton Academy.
Yes. So Cass, we don't discuss it because they gave Dalton their first region loss, and I think in 4 years. And then wild. Dalton had to come back and flip and play McIntosh on Saturday, which we'd already said this could go either way. And you were there during the game. Yeah. I was texting because we weren't able to see it on the NFHS where we were at. They moved the game to TDA, Dalton Stadium at the campus of Dalton Academy.
Now, and I'm just going to repeat some of the stuff that I said. I did a post game on Instagram. If you caught that, this isn't going to be anything new. But Dalton, they come out, they go up 1-0 on a long throw that gets loose in the box. They put it away 1-0, and almost within 2 minutes, it's 1-1 on a very similar type play on the other end. Ball just kind of loose in the box, and McIntosh puts it away. And then in quick succession, it seems like things got just a little bit out of hand, and just some lapses in, I would say, concentration and focus, and it's 3-1, and it's obviously it's a little more complicated than that, but at the same time, Dalton never looked out of the game. There was never a time that I'm like, this is over. And it was always one of those things. Dalton controlled a lot of the ball movement in their end. They looked pretty comfortable handling, at least for the first half or 3/4 of the game, even look comfortable handling the size of McIntosh. And you just thought if they can just get that second goal, that maybe they could pressure McIntosh and end up getting a draw out of it. I thought Dalton did a good job for most of the game handling McIntosh. And if those two were to play again, I'd be really interested to see it.
I mean, and I think what Dalton's really lacking, you were able to catch up with. You got an interview with Luis Favela, who's out due to torn ACL, but they're missing that forward this year, that goal scorer, that they can just get it up there and that can create and score. And I think that is what has affected them the most this year. Is they are solid there. They just, if you look at their score, they don't have that one person that has like 10, 12 goals like they normally do year in and year out. So I know you say you were able to catch up with Luis Favela. Yep. So if we can bring up that interview, that'd be great.
Monday Night Football, I'm joined by Luis Favela, who unfortunately has not been able to play this year due to injury. Luis, how's the recovery coming along?
It's going pretty good so far. I'm in physical therapy right now.
How far out are you from? How long has it been since your surgery?
About a month, yeah.
About a month. All right. Things are going well?
Yeah.
All right. So how difficult has it been for you to be on the sidelines watching your teammates? Obviously you're missed, but how hard has that been for you?
It's been really tough, honestly. Seeing the players, they get to play, and I'm missing the sport a lot. I miss my team a lot.
So when are you estimated to be able to come back and start playing again?
About 8 months or so.
Not soon enough, right?
Yeah, it's a long way to go.
All right. Well, we wish you a speedy recovery, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey, big thank you to Luis Favela for doing that interview. Man, I can't imagine how hard it is to sit there. I mean, on the absolute high that he was on last year of bearing those 2 goals in overtime to give Dalton the state championship, and probably I can't imagine how he was looking so forward to this year, and then having this injury that's going to put him out for the entire year, and to see your team and not being able to help.
Injuries, man. Yeah, and like obviously he was looking forward to the season. We caught up with him last year after the in the playoffs. But injuries are the name of the game.
So he was out. Ivan Rodriguez was out, and Romeo Chavarria was out with injury. That's just from like last week. I mean, 2 of them are just from last week to this week.
And then obviously Favela's out. The one that would replace Favela, he got out with an knee injury before the season even started. So you're to look at players left and right.
It's a war of attrition a lot of times, but at the same, you can't be missing that many parts. Eventually, it's going to catch up when you're going to feel it. But hey, I was still impressed with Dalton, and you just got to get this youth in there, give them that confidence, and there's still time in the year for that.
Yeah. But with that, we're going to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to follow up with the upcoming games for next week.
My car looks totally ruined. I don't even know what to do.
Locally owned Dalton Collision Center is the only choice when it comes to all of your auto body and refinish needs. Our experienced staff provides quality work from start to finish, will help with your claim, and even assist with getting your rental car. Everything from A to Z.
So you can focus on life, we can focus on getting you there.
We provide an excellent service for individuals who've had catastrophic injury cases. People who've had injuries that are going to last them, unfortunately, for the rest of their life. Being there for a person, being there to actually see them get better, that is what this field is all about. That's what we're really striving to do, and that's what we think we provide. You still have to have that empathy for the person so you can tell their story to the jury. At the end of the day, that's where your case is heard.
This year, Coldwell Banker Kennard Realty is proudly commemorating our 50th anniversary, and what a journey it has been. For 5 decades, Coldwell Banker Kennard Realty has been the heartbeat of real estate in Northwest Georgia.
We've had the privilege of helping thousands of homeowners with their real estate transactions. Thank you, Dalton and Northwest Georgia.
Whether you're buying, selling, or expanding your business, trust the experience that comes with 50 years of excellence. Coldwell Banker Kennard Realty with offices in Dalton, Calhoun, Cartersville, Ringgold, and Cleveland, Tennessee.
And welcome back to Monday Night Football, where Soccertown USA comes to you. Oh, we started off with going in, but we've got some games this week, so we want to go straight into the upcoming games. Highlight these games. This is on the boys' side. We've got boys and girls. We got Dalton versus Coahuila Creek.
I like it.
That's tomorrow. Really, this is only a boys' matchup. Murray County versus Gordon Central. Dalton Academy versus Dade County. It's a region game. Christian Heritage versus Mountain Zion. Southeast Northwest at Clásico Juvenil at Raider Stadium. North Murray at Fannin. And then we have Christian Heritage playing Ridgeland, Coahuila Creek at LFO. And then towards the end of the week, we got North Murray, Model, Murray County, Rockmart, Southeast Heritage. Dalton Academy are Murchie, Dalton versus Woodland, and then Northwest versus Harrison.
All right. Is that all we got this week?
Girls.
Oh, girls time. All right. Dalton versus Creek. We already talked about that one's not going to happen. Murray County versus Gordon County. Dalton County versus Dade County. North Murray at Fannin County. Christian Heritage versus Mount Zion. Southeast versus Northwest.
Circled.
Yeah, that's a big circle. And on the 13th, Dalton versus Clark Central. We talked about that one. And then Christian Heritage at Ridgeland, Cola Creek at LFO, North Murray versus Model, Murray County at Rockmart, Southeast at Heritage, big region game. Southeast, Dalton Academy at Armurchie, Dalton versus Woodland, Northwest versus Harrison. That'll be a big game too.
Really, Todd, with a minute left, games that stand out are the Southeast girls. Will they come out victorious this week, or will they go 0-2 this week, or will they split the games 1-1? Then on the Northwest, will the Northwest girls, can they wrap up Soccer City Cup and it be over with?
Yeah, and not be even thinking about it the rest of the year.
So
here are my games for the week. On the girls' side, Southeast, Northwest. That game's at Southeast. If you're there, get out to that one. And then also Southeast Heritage, if you're able to make it
for
to
the
that
girls
one.
as well?
Yeah, for the girls as well. On the guys' side, of course, you got to go Southeast, Northwest, and Dalton, Coahulla Creek, depending on what end of the county you're on or where you're at. That's the game you go to. And then, those are my games for the week.
And then today there's a little game. That's why Chill's not here. It's Dalton Junior High or Hammond Creek versus Eastbrook. I'll be heading there to watch my little nephew play. He's plays for the Eastbrook Mustangs. So
shout out.
But everyone, thank you for joining the show. Hope you love the interview with Jeremy Allenbaum, and we will see you next week.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And what would it be like? Open up a world of possibilities when you sell your home and make those dreams real. At ColdwellBanker.com, you can get an instant estimate on your home, compare cost of living city by city, and learn more about our revolutionary seller's assurance program. So it really is true. Your dreams don't have to be just dreams. At ColdwellBanker.com.
Who's up for some football?
That's not football. This is football.
And Eddie, there's one thing that we all can agree on. That's it. North Georgia is the home for new and pre-owned vehicles. And don't forget accessories, parts, service, and collision needs.
Claro que sí se puede. Come see us.
Hey, that's our part.
Why should you choose OptiLink Internet?
I chose OptiLink because of the great local service. We know computers, and OptiLink knows internet with high-speed symmetrical uploads and downloads.
My customers depend on me for safety and security, and I need fast and dependable internet. That's why I chose OptiLink.
Some people say you can't have fast internet. I say, oh yes you can with OptiLink.
Experience the difference. Call today, 706-529-1313.
I'm Waylon. I live in Dalton, and I'm the owner of Elite Lineman Training Institute.
And I'm Mitch Sanford with Biltwell Bank.
When I left Georgia Power to start my own business, I met with Mitch and told him what we were doing.
I told Waylon, you're the kind of business we want to work with.
We have a very high standard for how we work as a company and especially how we treat our clients. After a very candid conversation with Mitch, we knew we were on the same page.
Today, we're working on several businesses, training and real estate.
Because they do the heavy lifting, so I can focus on my business. My bank is Biltwell.